Today we are going to learn about how pollution affects our rivers, the lakes and sea, and have a think about what we can do to try and stop this pollution. So what is pollution? Pollution happens when the environment is contaminated by waste, chemicals and other harmful substances. These are harmful to humans, animals and plants. Some pollutants can be seen and some are invisible. Can you have a think of a type of pollutant that's invisible? The three main forms of pollution are air, water and land. And today we're going to look at water pollution. So water pollution is when waste, chemicals or other particles cause a body of water, so our rivers, our streams, our becks, our lakes, the ocean, to become harmful to the fish and the other animals that need that water to survive. At the top of this slide you can see a link there to a Newsround video which is really good, all about plastic pollution. I'll put it in the description box so you can have a look once you've looked through this slideshow. A few facts here. So 300 million tonnes of plastic is made each year. That is so much you can't even imagine that much plastic. 300 million tonnes. And 40% of all that plastic that's made every year, 40% is only used once. In 30 years, scientists think that plastic in the ocean will outweigh fish. 100,000 animals are killed each year by plastic, and 1 in 3 sea turtles have eaten plastic, and 90% of seabirds have eaten plastic. So what can we do to try and stop this plastic ending up in our water? Choose items that are not packaged in plastic where possible. Use reusable bags or cardboard boxes to carry your shopping. And stop buying water or fizzy drinks in plastic bottles and try and use reusable bottles instead. But I know a lot of you already do that at school. 20 billion plastic bottles are thrown away every year. If you do use plastic, make sure you recycle it and then it can be made into something else. Soil pollution. So before I started working for West Cumbria Rivers Trust, I'd never really thought that soil was a pollutant. But soil is really bad for rivers. It covers the gravel areas where fish like salmon and trout, if you remember from episode 2, salmon and trout, they've come up our rivers to lay their eggs. So they need that bottom of the riverbed, that lovely clean gravel to lay their eggs. So if soil gets washed into the river, it covers those gravel areas so the fish are unable to lay their eggs or their eggs get covered in the soil. It also covers freshwater pearl mussels. So can you remember in episode 2 when we were looking at freshwater pearl mussels, and they filter feed, don't they? So they filter the water. So if there's lots of soil in that water, then it can kill them. So here's a picture of some cows and they are in the river. They've probably gone in there for a drink and a play. But you can see that they're trampling all that river bank and all that soil is getting washed into the river. And here you can see the river bank, it's completely collapsed, hasn't it? It's all eroded and all that soil is getting washed into the river. So how can we stop soil pollution? And this is a lot of the kind of work that West Cumbria Rivers Trust do. So you can put up fences along the river bank to allow the vegetation to grow. This means that the vegetation will grow nice and long and thick, and it will help to try and stop that soil being washed into the river. You can plant willow into the riverbank. So do you remember on episode 1 there was a picture of Phil who works with us with some volunteers, and they were planting willow into the side of the bank. So willow is a type of tree, loves wet conditions, and it'll grow into that riverbank and strengthen the riverbank and hopefully stop it from eroding. And plant trees, plant lots of trees. Trees will also strengthen that riverbank. So you can see here, if you have a look, you can see there's a fence being put up there, can't you? So one side of the fence where the animals are still in the field, they've been eating the grass, and the grass is really short there. But on the other side of the fence where the animals can't graze, you can see already the vegetation, the grass is getting nice and long. There's been some trees planted. That's what those sort of plastic sort of poles look like. They're protecting the little trees inside. And then we've got some trees planted along that riverbank as well to help strengthen that riverbank and stop erosion. And here's a lovely picture as well, so you can see the fence there. So one side of the fence, really short grass. The other side of the fence, where the animals can't graze, we've got some lovely thick vegetation, and all that is helping to stop soil being washed into the river. It's also helping to sort of strengthen that riverbank as well. Agricultural pollution, so fertilisers and pesticides. So fertilisers, this is somebody muck spreading. So fertilisers are needed. It's full of lovely nutrients that make the grass grow really nice, green and rich, provides food for all our animals like cows and things like that. But unfortunately, if that fertiliser gets washed into our rivers, it actually reduces the amount of oxygen in the water. And if you remember from episode 2, lots of oxygen means lots and lots of different animals. Animals need oxygen even in the water to survive. So if you reduce the amount of oxygen in your water, then you're also going to reduce the amount of life in your river. So here we have a picture, and this is pesticides being sprayed on the crop. So what a pesticide is if you're growing your crop and there's a little bug, a little insect or invertebrate that actually damages your crop so it won't grow, you can spray a pesticide on it which will kill that little bug, that little pest, and stop it damaging your crops. But unfortunately, if that gets washed into our rivers, it can also damage and maybe kill some of the invertebrates in our rivers. So how to stop agricultural pollution? Don't spray fields during the winter time when you know that it's most likely it's going to rain a lot or it's going to snow, and then that snow will melt and run into our rivers. Avoid spraying the fields when it's raining or when you know it's going to rain, because that will just, instead of either the fertiliser or the pesticide getting a chance to sort of soak in, it will just get washed straight off into our rivers. And use environmentally friendly pesticides where possible. Okay, so activities for you to do at home. We've looked at some of the main types of river pollution, but can you think of any others? There are more. So maybe write down a few more, or maybe have a bit of a research and see what other water pollutants there are. And then you could create a river creature using recycling materials that you have at home. So maybe use some plastic bottles and things like that to create your own river creature. And you could also design a poster to inform others about river pollution and what they could do to help. Okay, I shall see you in episode 5. Hope you're all okay out there. Bye for now.